What's up, nation? Welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast, Week 11 NFL review show. It's a lot of adjectives. Anyways, I'm your host, Patio Joe. You can follow me on Twitter, Patio Joe Ref, and I'm joined here today by my SoCal brethren. We're the ones up. It's still morning time here on the West Coast. It's about 10:45. I'm here with Johnny. You can follow him at GDaddy80 on Twitter. What's going on, Johnny? How you doing?
Good man. Normally, I'm a late night owl, so this is kind of early for me. I normally don't go to sleep till like 5 or 6 in the morning, and normally sleep till about noon. So definitely getting up a little bit early today for this, but I'm here for the nation. So let's get this going.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm like the opposite. I have a kid, and because since the time change, I usually wake up before 6 a.m. and I'm usually asleep before 11. So I get my 6-7 hours of sleep. So I woke up and I was like, well, I want to get this done so you guys can get on to the basketball that's going on later on. You can do your basketball research or get on to whether or not you're going to be playing this Monday, Thursday slate, which if we have a little bit of time in the end, maybe we'll talk about how we might attack the Monday, Thursday slate because I think it's juicy. It's a juicy four-game slate if you throw in tonight's game and then the 3 on Thursday. So how did you do yesterday?
I didn't do as well as I wanted to or as I expected to. Definitely the Patriots and Raiders stacking. I did 5 stacks of that out of my 20 lineups that I did, and that didn't come up as big as I wanted to. I mean, obviously Brady had a big game and Cooks had a big game, but other than that, there's a little bit more than I would like to had variance with Gronk, and I had some Rams defense that didn't work out really well, but the Chargers defense definitely pulled me through and made me a little bit of money yesterday. But I definitely didn't have a big day, but I definitely didn't lose the farm, so that's a good thing for me in DFS.
Yes, you don't want to lose the farm. That's not good. I think any day you can have where it's not a 0 day and a little bit of a plus EV, I think it's okay. It's a process. Not everybody can win $1 million, and you get your big hit. You just got to keep grinding, and you got to keep working at it. Once again this week, I don't think that there was one player. If you wanted to fade all of the top plays, I don't think any of the top plays really killed you. I think if you had one of the defenses of the Ravens, Chargers, or Jaguars, you were okay. If you had one of those 3 defenses, I think you were just fine. And then if you had, Kelsey, I don't think he didn't kill you. He was the chalk probably play. The weather kind of killed that. I think the weather just killed that game. That was just the most disappointing. I think I was on my way down to the Charger game, so I didn't really watch it. I just saw the scores, and for it to be 12-9 and then the Giants win, it's just like, wow. That was just crazy. Did you have a lot of shares of that game, or were you off of it once the weather hit?
Yeah, no, I was off it. I did at my pick show on Saturday night late with CK, and I was pretty much off that game. I had a little bit of Kelsey, very little bit of Hunt, but I was off Alec Smith. Once Sunday morning came, I took all my Alec Smith exposure out. I just wanted to make sure that it was the right exposure, making sure that the wind was going to be the way it was and the cold was going to be the way it was. So, yeah, the passing game I was off Tyreek Hill. I had really little exposure. And then I was watching the game, and it was horrible. I mean, Alex Smith was throwing picks. I mean, Kelsey threw a pick. Yeah, it was rough. It was a rough game. Definitely. Yeah,
I mean, and Kareem Hunt just didn't seem to produce as what we thought. I had him. He was in my cash game lineup. I probably wanted to hurt. He was over 50% in every cash game tourney I was in. So I had a little bit of Hill. I had one lineup with Hill and Chiefs. I thought maybe if we get a punt return, something like that. He
wasn't running back the punts, though.
No,
he wasn't
really.
running back
See, there you go. Yeah. That just kills the drill right there, too. So why don't we get into quarterbacks? Let's start off like we did last week. I like doing this last week because we basically went over what the top 5 were at the position, and it's kind of shows you like who's been doing well. once again, second week in a row, we got Kirk Cousins, top quarterback of the week, just barely by like a half a point over Tom Brady. And that just goes to show you, I mean, even P. Ryan ran for 130 yards. Cousins still put up all those numbers, even with a depleted core. He just seems to keep finding people. I mean, to me, I feel like I don't necessarily. I haven't really checked his price on FanDuel for Friday or Thursday's games, but I mean, going forward after this, he's got to be almost like a lock and load just because of game script alone. The team's 4-6, and they're going to throw a lot, even now with Chris Thompson being out. And they have P. Ryan and Kelly's out. I see a good path for just having Cousins almost the rest of the year, whether you have him on your seasonal or playing him on DFS. I'm trying to get his price right now. He is. Oh no! Damn it! Keep talking. Oh wow! FanDuel, you were just doing it wrong. FanDuel only has a Monday Thursday slate of one of the Thursday games. That's weird. The first
Thursday night.
No, it's the Thursday day. It's the Detroit game and the Minnesota. So he is 8,800 on which, wow. Dak Prescott is 8,900. FanDuel, get your shit together. Anyways, let's go over the other quarterbacks though. Brady, obviously, everybody. He was the chalk. I had him in my cash game lineup, and then Breeze. I wrote about Breeze as a good GPP option. I felt like it was coming. He still threw for 385 and 2 touchdowns. And then rounding it out I wrote him as my value quarterback. Had him down was Blaine Gabbert, and Ryan Fitzpatrick had a good day too. Did you have any shares of those guys?
I had some Cousins. I had Fitzpatrick. I wasn't on Blaine Gabbert. But just to touch on Cousins really quick, the reason that Cousins is always going to be low owned is because he doesn't have a true number one receiver there. So because of the way DFS has gone, everybody's always looking to handcuff and stack teams. So Cousins is never popular because they don't know who to stack with. And we've all, become in that mental part of the DFS is we want somebody to stack with. So I think Cousins naked is the viable option, and that's typically when I play him. I play Cousins naked. And this week I did stack him with Thompson, and Thompson got injured, so that didn't work out so good. But I can see the merit of why people don't play him. But the reason people need to play him is he's one of the top producing quarterbacks in the league. And just remember that he is playing for a contract next year. He has no long-term contract. Whatever team gets him next year, because he won't play in Washington next year the way they've treated him. But he's on a franchise tag this year, and next year, he's playing for big money. So just remember that, guys.
Yeah, the funniest thing, Tyrod Taylor doesn't even start the first half, and he ends up a top 10 quarterback yesterday. Amazing. I mean, it's just, I was at that game, and it was funny to watch Peter Dick. We were talking about him all week, just picking on him all week, and it was terrible. It was hilarious. I had basically, I thought Cousins, Brady, pretty much the quarterbacks kind of went as I thought. Rivers did okay. Keenum did okay. The only guys that I think that busted that the public was on was Derek Carr and Alec Smith. And once again, if you read Cam's article, Cam was off of him. Cam did not like him. He's out of the country. Every time Carr has played on the road or out, he's done terrible. And that's true. He has not done very well. He only had 15 points Matt Moore outproduced him. And then Alex Smith, the weather killing Alex Smith, you got to think that. But I'm thinking that this is the Alex Smith from last year, and this is what we're going to have for the rest of the year. This Chiefs team is not what it used to be in the beginning of the year. They're not throwing downfield. It's just, it seems like they're regressing, and Alex Smith is showing that he's the same quarterback that he was, and maybe the first 4 weeks was just an aberration. What do you think about that?
No, I think this is more of an outlier game. I'm definitely, I'm a Chiefs fan.
You're still on
I watch
Smith.
all
Okay.
the Chiefs games. Yeah, I'm not. I've never been on Smith. I don't
Uh-huh.
think Smith is the greatest quarterback ever. Don't get me wrong, but 25-mile-an-hour wins. I mean, like I was watching the game and he's throwing the ball into the wind, and he had a couple long passes to actually to Tyreek Hill. But literally when the ball would go in the air, it would start to duck right away. Like the wind was just changing the direction of the ball. I mean, Kelsey. Like I told you, Kelsey threw a pass yesterday that was intercepted. And that when the wind hit it, it blew 20 yards in front of where its target was. I mean, the wind was just stopping anything. So I don't think it's an Alex Smith issue when it comes to the passing game. It's more of an Andy Reid issue. Remember, Andy Reid is not a let's throw the ball deep kind of guy. He's an old school West Coast offense. I'm going to beat you with the run. I'm going to beat you with 800 different screen formats. And so just remember that part of it. Andy Reid is the killer of this team. He's a very smart coach, but he's not a guy that wants to put up 50 points, in a game. He wants to beat you with being up by a touchdown and grinding the ball because he wants to play safe. So I understand where people are thinking, it's Alex Smith, but it's not. Alex Smith is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. He's one of the best game managers. This was a horrible game because of the wins, and it was a perfect spot for Kansas City to have a letdown spot, being in New York with the cold and the winds. I'm not going to necessarily say that Alex Smith is going to have a great game next week, but I can definitely see a bounce back spot next week.
All right. That being said, what we're going to do here now is we're going to go over my cash game lineup for yesterday on FanDuel, just kind of dissect it a little bit, go through the picks. My cash game lineup has been going well the past month, and so I've been hitting it, and it did well yesterday. So why don't we go and share my screen right now, and we'll just go right into the cash game picks. I'll go through it a little bit first, and then I'll have you just make some comments what you think. Basic, I started off with Brady, went with the herd. It felt like it was like almost like Clayton Kershaw, against San Diego or something. You just go with the herd, play Brady. Did good. And the same thing with Kareem Hunt. Even though he only got me 9 points, when over 50% of the field does it, it doesn't kill you. Then I went with Melvin Gordon. I liked his usage, and I moved on to him late in the day or later actually Saturday night. My receivers, Larry Fitzgerald was locked in from the beginning of the week, and I always wanted to get up to Landry and Crowder. Once the news of the weather hitting in New York, I moved all of my Travis Kelce shares. I was off of him. I moved down to Tyler Kroft, and he did just good enough to get a couple catches, and one was a touchdown. And at 5,300, he didn't kill me. And then I harp on it. Defense and kicker are the reasons why you get successful on FanDuel, and that's why I cashed, and I did really well. Johnny, talk about this lineup. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Brady was the chalk. I think that's a great play. The Hunt play was, definitely he was well over 50% in lineups. I mean, I saw him in, some of the single entry and some cash games. He was, 80% owned. So that was definitely the play. I can see the merit to playing it, but I can also see the merit of fading it, and because of what the game script allowed in the weather. The Giants were stacking 8 in the box, all game long, and there was a couple, 10-yard runs that he had that was about it. But other than that, I mean, he was grinding for 2 yards here, 1 yard here, because of the weather. So I didn't play a lot of cash this week. Just did some single entries, but I was on him in my single entries just because it's the stable, the floor with him. He's not going to put up a 0 for you, 9's not going to lose you, but it's not going to get you the value. So I like that. That was a play. The Gordon play, I was on Gordon a little bit in tournaments. I wasn't on him in cash just because of the recent production and the recent issues and the backfield stuff that's going on there. The chalk there was Burkett. Burkett was the chalk there. Ingram was very low owned in cash games on DK. He was only 16% owned.
Well, yeah. Well, DK, I could see Burkhead being the play at 3,600. Yeah, I could.
FanDuel is too expensive. Yeah, he's too expensive. FanDuel. Yeah.
Okay, good. And then the receivers. I mean, obviously, I'm thinking that since if Blaine Gabbert stays the quarterback, I'm thinking Fitz is just going to get so peppered to target. He's in the slot. If you remember last year, Gabbert loves throwing to the slot when he was in San Francisco with Jeremy Curley. So now we got Fitz, who's better receiver than Jeremy Curley. Sure. So I like Fitz being viable, and they never seem to raise his price. Jarvis Landry and Fitz are like literally the number 4 and 5 PPR receivers in this whole season. So they're pretty reliable. Landry obviously did great to start off, and then he kind of tailed off later on. And then Crowder with 5,400 I like. So let's move into running backs. Obviously the cash game, that's just a cash game. Let's unshare my screen. Let's move back into running backs now. And the top 5 running backs this week, we got 3 that we were on, and then the other 2, I just don't think anybody really was on them. I guess you could make an argument for Perrine, but LaShawn McCoy was the number 1 running back this week. Finished with 28 points. He got in the end zone twice. Then Mark Ingram, Kamara, and Foreman and Perrine were the top 5 right there. Anyway, so McCoy, Ingram, Kamara, Foreman, and Perrine, those were the top 5 quarterbacks. I think that we had them all dead to right. Did you have any of Perrine or Foreman?
I had P. Ryan in some of my early, like some of the only slates, whatever the slate that was on the, if there was it was the early slate, I believe, right? So I had him on the early slate only because there wasn't a lot of options there, and he was cheap. And I had some Thompson as well. I did some double stacks there, but Thompson killed my lineups there. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had some McCoy, I had some Ingram and Kamara. I just didn't have McCoy and Ingram on the same team. And is Ingram and Kamara just becoming a viable player? You think you going to keep doing it, or are you going to stop them, or are you going to do it at least on one team and see what happens?
I think a viable stack every week for them right now is good. I mean, as I was talking about on Saturday, that Drew Brees really doesn't have any interest in throwing the ball anymore. I mean, this has become a defensive and run team, and that's why their correlations work so well. I mean, I think you could play almost any game depending on the game script. I think you could play the Saints and stack both running backs in any stack. I think it's pretty viable right now.
Yeah, I mean, in the Saints schedule coming up next week in Los Angeles playing the Rams, that's a big game. And then they have 2 matchups against Atlanta coming up. They haven't played them, and Atlanta loves to give up catches to the running back. So I like Kamara and Ingram going forward. And, Sean Payton was quoted saying about Kamara, the only thing keeping him from Rookie of the Year is me. Like it's like he doesn't want to overuse this guy, and that's how good he is. I mean, I have him everywhere in seasonal, so I love Alvin Kamara. The running backs, I also got to give a shout out. Paulie D, Dion Lewis call. He was on that. I had a little Dion Lewis yesterday in a stack. The team that won on DK, I had Brady, Dion Lewis, and Cooks, and that was a team that did well on DK because I had that. He did well. Fournette had the volume, but he didn't get his price. He only got about 2x. I didn't have it. Did you have any of Fournette?
No, I was a full fade. I called it on Saturday. I'm not Fournette. I mean, Cleveland's really good against the run. Fournette, I mean, he was being a crybaby on Saturday, saying he's not afraid of the workload. He's afraid of the cold. I'm not afraid of Cleveland, but I'm afraid of the cold. So I was off of him.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at guys like Gordon, he did okay. He got about 2x, but the bust Hunt's got to be a bust. Jarrett McKinnon was a bust. The game flow didn't help McKinnon. Once the Vikings got up, Latavius Murray wound up being the top 10 back this week. Rex Burkhead did not do very well. He got 2x. I guess it's okay. It didn't kill you if you played him. So I'm just scheming down this list of anybody that pops out that was like, wow, you just did terrible. But yeah, tell me what happened. Also, Damian Williams started off with like 10 points right off the first quarter, and then he didn't get the ball the rest of the game. did you watch that game at all? Or
I did not watch that game. No.
Do you go? Are you somebody that goes and watches all the games after?
I will. Yeah, I will make it through most of the games by Monday night. So tonight, basically do some basketball research after we get off the show, and then just to watch my condensed game scripts. Like it's like a 40-minute kind of condensed game that I'll watch.
And where do you go and get that? Do you go online to get that, or is it DirecTV because you got the ticket? You can they have those condensed games on the ticket, right? Don't they?
That has the ticket. You don't get the games, but I have a friend that plays DFS and he's a pro. And I'm not going to throw his name out there because I don't want him to get I don't want to name drop him right now. But he does the condensed game for me. So he goes online. He has a sub to a website that does the condensed games, and then he's just going to email me all the games over. So I'll actually watch those games. And it's good because I condense the games down to 45 minutes, and then I can scroll through the games and kind of look at certain plays. I can look back at that. So I can't sit through a 2-hour game. I don't have time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Todd Gurley also. I think we were off of him. He did not. He did okay. I don't think he would have killed you, but you did not make value. So this time I'm going to actually share my screen the correct way, and I'm going to be now. Once I share it, we're going to go over the DK Millionaire winning lineup this week. So let me do this right. I'm still doing that. All right, and. Voila, let's see here. Okay, there we are. All right. Here is the DK winning millionaire lineup. The two things that are going to stand out to me is Keenan Allen and Kenny Stills. I'd love to see how many lineups Rob Kaufman had. And if he only had one lineup and he went with the Stills call, man, tip your cap to you. I don't think anybody would have thought Stills was such a great play this week. But once Jay Cutler went out, Stills and Matt Moore, I think, are having coitus on a daily basis. So they just hook it up left and right. But let's start off. Kirk Cousins was a great play. Obviously, he's the number one quarterback. His running backs, Jordan Howard, very low owned. Wasn't really on him, but he had a great day. I can't fault him. The volume's going to be there, and if he ever breaks out and gets in the end zone, he's really going to get it. And then Keenan Allen, obviously was the play. I like Jeremy Maclin just as a floor kind of play. You knew somebody was going to score a touchdown in that. He went with the chalk with Kelsey and Cooks. They both hit, and then obviously the Jaguars D. And right now, Rob Kaufman is swimming in probably cocaine and strippers, where I would be. Anyways, Johnny, go over his lineup. What did you like the most? I mean,
definitely, I like Kirk Cousins. As you can see, he's really low at 7.8%. And this is just a lot of the process with this is that there's nobody to handcuff him with. So if a lot of players are off of Cousins every week. I mean, so even though they just had another big week, next week he's going to be under 10% owned, and so just everybody just remember that. I mean, he's a good play almost any game, as long as he's not facing like a top, receiver defense or something like that.
Unfortunately, the next 2 Thursdays, the Skins play. They play this Thursday against the Giants at home, and then they play next Thursday against the Cowboys in Dallas.
Those are both great matchups for him. So, I mean, I know that he's on the Thursday slate. He's 7,100 on DraftKings. I know he's going to be in a lot of my lineups. And even though he is the most expensive quarterback on the Thursday slate. So I'll have a lot of exposure to him. And here's the thing. He's going to be, maybe 12% on that slate. So I like him a lot there. Looking down a little bit further down here, Jordan Howard. I had 25% exposure to Jordan Howard. I liked him a lot in this matchup. Detroit is not good against the run. The only thing is he's not involved as much in the passing game, and that's always the situation, and that's why a lot of people on DK do not play him, because they're looking for the PPR. They always want PPR receivers, and that's why Chris Thompson...
Tariq Cohen yesterday got about 20 points in the PPR yesterday, so...
And that's typically where you beat Detroit. Is you beat Detroit on the ground, either through running back through the pass or running back through running the ball.
Mm.
And because of Chicago, they don't use Howard in the pass at all. They use Cohen. So Cohen was definitely a viable option looking back at it now. And that's the reason, when you look back at the New Orleans Washington game, New Orleans is kind of the same script where they're actually good against the run, but they're bad against passing running backs. So like a catch passing running back. So in that situation, Chris Thompson was great on paper and he had a great, first few minutes, and then he got hurt. Hurt, and then he was kind of done for us. So that's why Chris Thompson was really, really heavily owned. But again, nobody paired him with Cousins because people are very, very afraid that the correlation between running back and quarterback is a negative correlation, but it's not anymore, especially when he is a pass-catching running back.
Mm-hmm.
So in hindsight 2020, that was a good correlation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and even though he was highly owned, I think it worked out well. So, anyways, that was the $1 million lineup. Congrats to Mr. Rob Kaufman. Man, I love it. Good job. Let's move to wide receivers. Obviously, AB Thursday was a good play, but of the top 5 receivers, 3 were you would expect. Obviously, the other 2 we wouldn't expect just because of previous performance, but Keenan Allen, Kenny Stills, Brandon Cooks, Adam Thielen, and Larry Fitzgerald turned out to be the top 5. Larry Fitzgerald was like one of my top building core plays. I love him. I'm going to love him going forward. Adam Thielen, he seems to keep doing it now. If he doesn't break that big break that tackle and run for 40, 50 yards, it's an okay day. So let's not just jump on him. So, and then Brandon Cooks, definitely, he was the chalk, probably receiver of the week. He hit. And then Kenny Stills, obviously, and Keenan Allen. What receivers were you really high on? Any of those comments, did you miss on any that you really that you liked? What was it?
Well, I want to go back to that Miami game really quick because I don't want anybody to skip the fool's gold with Stills here and the Damian Williams thing. But you were touching on a second ago about Damian Williams and what happened with him. Well, what happened with him is Jay Cutler went out. Okay. And that's what happened with him. Damian Williams was the right play. Cutler went out. And once Cutler went out, that's when Stills blows up. If Matt Moore is a quarterback in Miami, you play Stills, and that's the only receiver you play. And he'll have a big game every week. If he's not there, you play Landry, you play Parker, and you play Damian Williams when the script is right. Because Damian Williams is the pass-catching back there. So the defense set up for him to have a great game, but then the quarterback didn't set him up to have a great game. And then Moore is more of I'm going to take a shot down the field kind of a quarterback than Cutler is. So Matt Moore, is definitely going to take the passing, game a little bit more down the field, and Stills is their deeper threat guy. So that's kind of how that game worked out. Just to give the viewers, hindsight 2020 on that game and what exactly happened. And no, Damian Williams was not a bad play. No, Landry was not a bad play. It's just the game script, the way the game ended up playing out, wasn't the way that we thought the game script was going to follow.
Yeah. Is DeAndre Hopkins matchup proof? He just went for that against Patrick Peterson, one of the best corners in the league. And I didn't write about him, but I did say earlier on the Wednesday show, I said, look, his volume's going to be there. They're still going to throw to him. So just because he's got a bad matchup doesn't mean they're not going to throw to him. So he still put up a good line. He still got in the end zone. I think that this probably was his hardest matchup of the year. I can't imagine him having anything tougher remaining. So talk to me about Hopkins. Are you fully on him no matter if Savage is the quarterback or not?
Yeah, I was on Ellington a lot. He went over value. I think he put up almost 13 DK points. And I was talking about on the Saturday show a little bit about Hopkins, and he's matchup proof because he gets so many targets. And the only thing I was afraid of is I didn't know if he was going to get in the end zone, and I didn't think he was going to get a lot of long passes. I thought he would get a lot of his work would be done, in the short passing game, which it was with Savage, because I don't think Savage is yet ready to commit himself to keep throwing deep threats. So I was off Hopkins because I just didn't think he was going to have an opportunity to break a long reception. I knew he would get, his targets. I thought 14 targets was an achievable number for him this week. I thought he could get 14 targets, and I thought, he might get, 7 catches. I think I threw out there a 7 catch for 60 or 70 yards, and then maybe in the end zone. So I had him pegged for about 20 to 21 points is what I had him pegged for this week.
Yeah.
Where did he actually put up on DK?
This is who we talking about again? Landry?
Hopkins. Hopkins.
Hopkins is 17.6, and he was 6,100.
Yeah, so I pegged him for around 20 points. So I was pretty close.
Yeah. That's still good. We had the news, Robert Woods getting hurt, Chris Thompson getting hurt, and then we had Deontay Foreman getting hurt. So that was some injuries. I don't think, nobody had Deontay Foreman. So, but Thompson obviously hurt some people. The receiver.
For an additional 500, though, if you look at Hopkins compared to Cooks, for 500 more, Cooks was the better play, and that's where it went.
Yeah.
That money, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that people were scared off of Hopkins because of the matchup, but I'm thinking, it's just the fact of now with no Foreman, it's going to be Lamar Miller running the ball almost 20 times a game, and they have one less running back, and they look like Foreman was going to break out too. So, anyways, let me see here. I'm going to get up another lineup. We're going to go over another lineup here real quick.
Sure, Joe, but just one more quick thing on Hopkins. Sure. I knew he was priced well though because he was only priced at 6,100. So as I was telling the viewers, that he's priced in that matchup. He would be the week before I think he was 7,700 or something like that. So he was priced well for the matchup. So he was underpriced. He was in that comfort zone of 6,100. So he wasn't a bad play by any means.
All right, here we go. Here right now we are going to share. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to be going over the FanDuel week number. We're under the millionaire maker right here of Mr. Drew Dinkmeyer winning the millionaire maker with Drew Brees, Mark Ingram, LaShawn McCoy, Keenan Allen, Kenny Stills. What are the two things we had there? Keenan Allen, Kenny Stills were the Jamison Crowder. You went with Gronk, Gostkowski, and the Ravens D. Once again, he nailed kicker and defense and had Ingram and McCoy as well as Keenan Allen and Stills. Boom. Dink. Congrats. What'd you like about his lineup?
Yeah, definitely. I think he took a big chance there with Stills. Again, if Cutler would have been in that game, that would be a dead lineup. Crowder, he was chalk. On DK, on FanDuel, it was only 15%, so that was a pretty good play at only 5,400. Again, you don't see a look correlate like with Breeze here. You see the correlation between Breeze and Ingram. He stacked his quarterback and running back, and again, as I've been telling you guys, that is becoming a new thing. In daily fantasy sports, that the running back is not a bad quarterback correlation. So definitely that's where he went with that. And defense kicker. I went with in my FanDuel lineups. I went with Lutz, who put up 17 points. So that was those are the two of the top kickers. Keenan Allen. He's been having such a horrendous season in general. And most Chargers have besides Gordon this year. Breeze was a great play here, but again, if you look back at the Keenan Allen, Phillip Rivers actually had an okay game, and playing against Buffalo, that's where I see why Keenan Allen had such a good game here, 34 points, good game script, but I was feeling that when you go to the Chargers, I thought it was going to be a defense and a run game, and that's why I was off of Keenan Allen and Rivers completely. And I was more of a big fan of the defense. And I was not on Gordon because of the backup running back there. And I thought Eckler. And I thought that the Chargers were going to be up by so many points that Eckler was just going to get the bulk of the carries because they were just going to rest Gordon. So that was kind of my game script. So I was off of Gordon. I see the merit to playing him, just because Rivers has been so underproducing this year.
Well, and then plus they were the Bills gave up, what was it, 24 straight rushing attempts the week before to the Saints. So
yeah.
Let's move on to tight end. Tight end was the spot where this week we were like, wow, there's just a ton of tight ends. We got Kelsey, we got Gronk, we got Ertz, we got Bray, we got Cook, we got Croft, we got this and that. And then the top 5, let me read you. Travis Kelsey, which, by the way, he did not burn you, okay? He got 20 points that did not burn you, okay? Ricky Seals-Jones, never even heard of the dude. O.J. Howard, all right, heard of him. Adam Shaheen and Coby Fleener, which that's his one game this year. But do not play Coby Fleener at all the rest of the year. Johnny, will you agree with me? You don't play Coby Fleener.
No Fleener for me.
No, this was his game of the year, and he will not have another game like this until next year. I guarantee it. And then, those were the top 5. I mean, I had more Tyler Kroft in my lineups. I had a little bit of Gronk, and I had Jared Cook. I thought maybe he was going to be a little bit more involved. I mean, we were all expecting the Raiders to dance a little bit better with the Patriots yesterday. So obviously Kelsey, he didn't go up with 30 points. He went 20 points. It was good. How much of that did you have? Did you have any of these other guys on here?
No, I mean I had Kelsey and I had Gronk, a lot of Gronk exposure, which really hurt me. I didn't have any Seals. I didn't have any OJ. I was really off of, besides Mike Evans, I was really off the Tampa passing game. So that's really where I stood. I did have some of your Kroft. I know you won some money with Kroft, but I was on Kroft a little bit. But really, I stuck with the big guns because there was so much money to spend on DK. This is a rare week where you could pay up for Gronk and Travis Kelsey because of the Burkhead, low cost, and then the play with Ellington at only $3,000. So I had so much money left. I went with the big guns typically, and I had a little bit of Cooks too, but that was really it.
Mm-hmm. All right, good. Yeah, so the tight end position for me, it was like I said. What do you think Vernon Davis is becoming viable every week, even maybe when Reed comes back? I mean, he's got the Giants this week. We all know what the Giants do to tight ends. Reed can't seem to get healthy. I mean, if you're going to pair Cousins with anybody on Thursday night, you think Davis would be the play if Reed's out against the Giants, who can't go over tight end?
I might be off of that game on the passing game completely. I just have to look a little bit more into it, just because there's the plays there. When you look at the tight end play and you look at Crowd, with Jameson Crowder, they kind of do the same thing. They're the over the middle kind of receivers. So I might either just go 50-50, maybe Crowder in one lineup would say, and Davis in the other lineup. I'm just afraid to get married to play both of those guys,
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Davis is a viable option against the Giants, but I also think Crowder is a viable option. I just don't know which guy I really want this week, because I think they both really do the same thing.
Yeah. I agree. Let's see, real quick. We'll go over defenses real quick. Obviously, Ravens, Chargers, Jaguars, we said it. Those were the top 3. If you had any of those top 3, you probably did well yesterday. Buccaneers, obviously, they got that cheap late touchdown, but it helped if you had them. More power to you. Did you have any other defenses that you kind of whiffed on? I had a little bit of the Chiefs, and I thought the Broncos might have. The Rams at 2,400 were tempting. I agree, but I thought the Broncos were going to come back. I thought they were going to have a pick 6 or a fumble of Dalton for sure. I did too. Positive of that, and I thought that the Broncos were going to play better. They're just in shambles. Real quick, and then we'll get out of here because we finished this real easily. How are you going about tonight as it pertains now? I don't know. Does DK have a 4-game slate for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 games.
So talk about that, how you would attack. First of all, would you fade this game tonight? Who are you playing if you're playing the Monday, Thursday slate? Like, who are you playing from tonight's game?
I haven't even looked at the slate. I know there's a 4-game slate, so I haven't even started my research process yet. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the spreads. I want to look at the spreads here. I think tonight's game is actually one of the higher spreads, if I can remember. I think it is. So there might be a lot of high ownership just because of the point spread tonight and because of the matchup with it being with Ryan against Wilson. So yeah, so those two guys will probably draw a lot of high ownership. So if you fade this game, which there's a lot of good options, like Julio's only 7,300, I think. If I look back at my lineups from this week, because I have him playing tonight as well. So there is some good options. I wouldn't say a full fade is going to make you any money because there is a lot of plays in this game. But let's just say you fade this game and the game isn't a game like a shootout that we think it's going to be, then I think that there's a lot of good plays on Thursday as well. I think it's really about your risk reward. A lot of players are going to play 100% of tonight or everything but probably the defense. They'll probably go and take the Redskins defense. They'll probably be really popular. So I would see a lot of ownership will be a stack of tonight's game and then probably like a low-owned play from Thursday and then the Redskins. That's probably going to be really, really popular. So if you guys are going to get cute and say you decide, hey, I want some action tonight. I had a bad weekend. I want to play the guys from tonight. Just know that you won't be alone with that. Always when it's a small slate, the first game on the slate is always very popular. So there are plays to fade. Again, you have Wilson on this slate and you have Cousins. So if you fade Wilson tonight, which I think is a viable option, and you wait until you get to Cousins, which I think Cousins has the Giants, so that's a better matchup. I think that might be a good way to go around it. And I think he's only like $300 or $400 more for Cousins than Wilson. So
Wilson's more expensive than Cousins. Wilson's 7,000, Cousins 6,800.
Oh, so I would take that fade then. That's what I would do.
Yeah, Wilson doesn't have Dwayne Brown either tonight. Yeah. Remember that. I think maybe the question then: do you fade Tevin Coleman? Because if you look at the running backs, the highest running back on Thursday's slate is Melvin Gordon at 7,900. Then the next two are Elliott and Thompson. They're done. So then you go down to McKinnon, Coleman, you got Alfred Morris, and then you got Eckler as like a top 10 running back, and then Latavius Murray. I think Murray might be the play on Thursday because of the Detroit not being able to stop anybody on the ground. That might be the play at running back. But do you fade Coleman tonight, or is he the must play?
I'm locking Coleman. I like Coleman a lot. I have him in some of my lineups still from the Thursday game. So I like Coleman a lot. If I was to play a running back from the Minnesota situation, it would definitely be McKinnon over McKinnon. But I watched the game. I was watching the game that they had against the Lions rookie this year, and I wasn't on either. I'm not on either one of the running backs. Detroit did a pretty good game stopping them, but where Detroit struggles is, again, passing running backs. They're not great at that. So McKinnon would be my preferred pick. But I would actually look at P. Ryan. I think P. Ryan has a great matchup against the Giants. They can't stack the box like they did against Kansas City. Yeah, 3,900. You're going to be able to get all those top receivers in that you want, the Julios. And Julio's only priced at 7,300. So I like P. Ryan better at 3,900. Like, he really doesn't need to do much to get you there. With Cousins, he's going to be active in the passing game. Again, the game script won't be the same this week. They're not going to be able to stack the box because the weather is not going to be as bad. P. Ryan's a good play. And then, again, I'm kind of torn between, do I want to play Ingram at tight end or do I want to play Howard? I'm not Howard. If I want to play Vernon Davis, and that's kind of my thing. So, to me, Vernon Davis and Jamison Crowder are the same guy. So I rather take Crowder, and that way I can put in Ingram at my tight end spot, or I might put Graham in there. So I'm kind of like torn between there. That's why for me, Vernon Davis isn't a lock because I just think that there's a lot of spots that are a little bit ahead of his.
For sure. And who just, I know you haven't really digged into it right now. Who would you think Darius Slay is going to cover? Is he going to be Stephon Diggs or Adam Thielen?
Diggs, because Thielen runs more of the slot, and so Diggs is
that's
your
what
outside
I thought
guy.
too. Okay. All right, guys. Anyways, I hope that'll do it for us today here on the Week 11 review show and get a little preview for Thanksgiving. Just to let you know, guys, premium members, we will be having a premium Y stream on Thanksgiving at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. Pacific. Me, Paulie, and CK on doing the three-man, the OG three-man for all the nation members. For everybody, we're going to try and do some other shows this week too. We'll have that weekly preview show probably on Thursday or Friday again, and we'll also be doing the Wednesday preview show for the coming week games. This is the first look DFS wise. So anyway, Johnny, that was fun.
Thank you, Joe. Always a pleasure, Joe.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, and I'll let you get back to sleep or get into your basketball research.
And football now. I got a lot of football going on today.
Yeah. I got to get back to my other job. So, anyways, guys, it was a pleasure for Johnny, and I'm Patio Joe, and we are out.